So today let's learn a new way of making some random motion. And we're going to use a function called noise. We can check it out first on the reference. Remember, you should do that when you don't remember how something is working or you want to discover new functions. You just go to help reference and let's search here. I use Control F and I search for noise. And here we have it. Well, there's a long explanation here. It's not all so simple, but this is an interesting part. Here says Perlin noise is a random sequence generator producing a more natural ordered harmonic succession of numbers compared to the standard random function. So one problem we could say we have with random is that the values are too random. They just jump up and down. We can create a small animation. Void draw here. I will use background 0 to erase the screen, and then I will just make one line. I will use a variable, so I will use float x. It's a random value. It's a random value between 0 and the width of the screen, and then I will just use this to draw a vertical line from x0 to x height. So we've done this before. Okay, now we need to have a white stroke maybe. So there is our random line, but it's really jumping from place to place. It's not smooth motion. In real life, objects normally increment their position. They move slightly from their current position to a new position, but not like this. So let's have a look at what's the difference between random and noise. Random takes here two parameters, a minimum value and a maximum value. So random would give us, in this case, random 3,8 would give us a random number between 3 and 8. Noise takes one parameter, and it's not related to the range of numbers. Noise, I'm going to write it here, always gives us a value between 0 and 1. So then what is this number here used for? So what's interesting about noise is that if I call noise with two very similar values here, for example 4.00 and 4.01, it will return two very similar numbers. And we can check that out in a very simple example. I'm going to write down here, print noise 4 and print, I'm going to use println noise 4,01. And I just run this program and you can see that two numbers are very similar. This doesn't happen with random. If I would do here, I'm going to copy this program, but I'm going to replace noise with random. Here we'll say random. And to make it more equal, because noise always gives us a number between 0 and 1, then I will type here also a 1. This way random will give us a number between 0 and 1. But it should be quite similar. Let's look now at the result. And you can see that the two numbers here, the first two numbers, don't have anything in common. First is 0.24 and then is 0.93. And it just jumps from value to value independently of what the previous value was. The fact that noise gives us similar numbers when we use similar or close numbers as a parameter is very helpful to make more natural motion. Let's try out our previous program where we were moving this vertical line around the screen. I'm going to start here with this draw function, just setting the black background and a white line color. And I'm going to declare a variable like before, float x is noise. And then here we have to enter some number. I'm just going to enter a 3 for now. And then I will draw a line again from the top to the bottom height of the screen. So now the first trick, noise is giving us a number between 0 and 1. If we want to be able to draw anywhere on the screen, then we should multiply this by the width of the screen. This way, if noise would give us a 0, then 0 times the width of the screen is 0. And if noise would give us a 1 times width would give us the width of the screen. And if it gives us any values in between, then we will get different positions between the left border and the right border of the screen. So we have this right now. We can draw this, but of course now it's not going to animate because we are calling all the time noise with this value, fixed value here, a 3. If I want to animate that, then I should use another variable here, a variable that will change over time. And I'm going to call this my number. And I will declare it here, float my num equals 0. And now I have to increment this variable. Otherwise, I will get the same line all the time. So if I add something to my num, like 0.01. Oh, I made a mistake here. I multiplied by 0.01 and I should be adding actually. So this way I'm incrementing the variable. Now see, now this motion is much more interesting than just the random jumping. It seems to have like some kind of life. And depending on how fast we increment this value, now it should move faster than before. So let's add some more noise to our little program. I'm going to create a setup function to change the size of our window. Size 400. Now we should be able to see this better. We could be changing the background color also using the noise function. So I could type here noise, and inside I will use again my num. And remember, this returns a number between 0 and 1, which for a background would mean like black on both cases. 0 is black and 1 is almost black. But if I multiply it by 255, then I will get a random number between 0 and 255. Let's see how that is changing now the color. So you can see now the closer the light line is to the right, the brighter is the screen. So it's making a quite interesting effect. And if you would like them to be unrelated, if you would like the motion of the line not to be reflected on the background, but that they are two different things, you could use a new variable here. You could declare two variables that you increment at different speeds. I'm going to do that as an example. So my num2, I could start even with a different value. And you could increment it here at a different speed, maybe like 0.03. And then use that one for the background. This is one way to do it. So now the color of the background is unrelated to the line. Why was it related before? Well, we know that the random number noise is returning depends on this number here. It depends on the parameter we send. If you use the same noise with the same parameter in two different places, then you would get the same number. If you want to get a different random number using noise, then you have to have here a different value. It cannot be the same. I showed you here how you can use two different variables, but there's other ways to do that also. Instead of using two variables, I'm going to delete this my num2, and you could still use the same my num, but maybe just add something. For example, plus 100. Then this number is no longer the same. Here's my num, and here's my num plus 100. So now again, it should be unrelated. The background will change at one rate, and the line will move at a different rate. Finally, let's add another line, like a horizontal line in this case. So I'm going to copy these two lines here. I'm going to make a variable for that. Float y is noise, my num times height this time. And I will add here also maybe 40. And then it will go from the left border of the screen, that's 0, and y, this is my random vertical position, to width, so that's the right border of the screen, and Y again. This is the vertical position. Now we have there the two lines moving randomly looking for a target on the screen.